So they didn't make it into the ACC championship game. They barely got into the college football playoff. And now Miami's won 3 straight in the CFP, and they're headed to the national title game in their home stadium.
You are Locked On ACC, your daily podcast on the Atlantic Coast Conference. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Shout out to the everydayers, and thank you so much for making Locked On ACC your first listen. We're available wherever you get your podcasts. We're on YouTube. We're part of the #1 Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. He is Kenton Gibbs, former NC State defensive lineman and co-host of Locked On Wolfpack. I am Alex Donno, host of Locked On Canes, and today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. The college football playoff is here, and FanDuel is the best place to get into the action all playoff long. So visit FanDuel.com to get your college football playoff profit boosts every game day. On this episode, we'll talk about who we think is going to come out on top tonight in the other semifinal and who would be the better or worse matchup for Miami. We'll talk about the new ACC revenue formula where Miami actually gets to benefit from the legal fees spent by Florida State and Clemson. Thank you, FSU. But let's talk about last night, Kenton. Miami outlasts Ole Miss 31-27 in a classic. You know, I know neutral observers probably enjoyed the game. I was breathing into a paper bag fourth quarter. It was pretty nerve-wracking. But I want to start with Carson Beck, Kenton, who scores the game-winning touchdown, does it with his legs, of all things, with Beck, after a 15-play, 75-yard touchdown drive. I mean, can we now say, you know, all the doubt and all the skeptics Carson Beck had and all the concern about how much money Miami allegedly spent for him, I think it's safe to say right now it was worth every penny.
I think that the NFL and college football are still different in this regard and in this regard only. In the NFL, it's the expectation that you're going to overpay for a guy or two in order to win a Super Bowl. That's the expectation. Other than the Patriots dynasty, you cannot find a team that did not have a guy or two that from a team that won a Super Bowl that was like, oh my God, that contract aged like an open avocado. But guess what? That player was still pretty good when they won the Super Bowl. In college football, people are expecting if we pay you X amount of money, you've got to perform like X amount of money instead of understanding I can pay you $4 million because I have it to pay. And you also don't have to be the star of the show. You don't have to be what Darian Mensah was to the ACC champion Duke offense that, you know, everything ran through Darian. If Darian did not get it done, it did not happen. That is how Duke decided to spend their $4 million, and it clearly is put to good use. But is anybody going to say Miami didn't put their $4 million to good use because he's not being asked to throw for 4,000 yards, because he's not being asked to throw for 35, 40 touchdowns? No, this is a team that is in the national championship. So you can say what you want about Carson Beck and his struggles, but you know what you cannot say? That the Carson Beck-led Miami Hurricanes will have a losing or even neutral record in the playoffs. You cannot say that. You can at minimum say they were the second best team in the nation. At minimum. Lord forbid if they pull off what I believe will be one of the biggest upsets of all time if Indiana gets past Oregon and gets there and they win that game. That will be the stuff of, I don't care if they paid them $10 million. What do you value a national championship at? That becomes the question.
I felt so good for Carson last night. I mean, I you know, skepticism aside, because he had to deal with that, you know, social media, national shows calling him out. But more than that, Kenton, I mean, a year ago at this time, couldn't bend his elbow. Like he had gone through surgery on the UCL last year after his season got cut against Georgia. And I know that rehab process was not easy for him because I heard some stories like early on, like January and February, that it was like he hit some speed bumps and it was really tough. And obviously he was able to drive through those speed bumps and get it rolling. But, you know, for him, with all that he's been through, you know, for him not only to have made it, you know, farther than his former team, Georgia, who got knocked out in the second round, but, you know, now to be the guy who scores that game-winning touchdown after, Miami's defense needed the offense to bail them out. That hasn't happened a lot this year, right? I mean, Ole Miss's offense was finding some rhythm in the fourth quarter. They just scored a big go-ahead touchdown and a 2-point conversion, which put them up 3 points, a nice round number. So Miami could either try for a field goal and overtime and all the uncertainty that comes with that, or they could score what was almost a walk-off touchdown, and Beck leads them down the field, 15 plays, 75 yards, and some of the plays that were made along the way, Malachi Toney, who had been kept pretty quiet on the stat sheet over the last couple of weeks. I mean, some of the plays he made, and actually probably the biggest play that Toney made was, I think, in the second quarter when he caught that ball behind the line of scrimmage on a 3rd and 7, and he breaks 3 tackles and somehow keeps his balance to get beyond the first down marker. He also had a 36-yard touchdown on a tunnel screen. Keelan Marion was Miami's leading receiver, including a 52-yard touchdown. And then, of course, Mark Fletcher does what he does again with over 130 rushing yards. I mean, listen, Miami was very sloppy at times. It was not like a perfect performance by any stretch of the imagination, but they were physical. And when big plays were needed, the big plays happened.
The big plays did happen when they were needed. And shame on you, Miami defense. Shame on you, Weatherman. You know why I say shame on them? Because everybody's going to say, well, Kenton, the defense got him here. This is the first time, and this is a fact, you can look it up, against a Power 4 team in the playoffs, this was the first time that an SEC team scored a touchdown.
Oh,
first time.
I didn't know that. Oh.
Alabama, how many points did they put up against Indiana?
3.
And then we had Texas A&M. How many points did they score against Miami?
3.
So all you got is Tulane, where you put up some big points by Ole Miss, Georgia and Ole Miss, 2 SEC teams, Bama and Oklahoma. When them boys played out of conference, they could not sniff the end zone until Miami. No, but seriously, Miami's defense deserved a game like this. They more than earned it, right? When you're holding multiple teams, you're holding a team with Jeremiah Smith to 14 points. When you are holding a team that, regardless of what their schedule was or was not, a Texas A&M team that was 11-1 to a field goal in their home. So for whatever everybody want to talk about, the bye week is what's killing the SEC because the SEC teams keep getting byes. Well, last time I checked, Texas A&M and Miami had the exact same amount of downtime before the playoffs started, and yet they still held that team to 3 points. So ultimately, this is a situation where I say Miami's defense, I don't even think that they played a bad game. I just think it is the curse of defense, right?
Yeah.
If you take away 2 to 3 plays, this game is entirely different for Miami's defense. Obviously, the 73-yarder by Lacey was one where you kind of leave yourself scratching your head at some of the angles and some of the tackling that did not happen there. You are obviously going to say, hey, when you've got Chambliss on the run, plaster a receiver. Get next to somebody and run with them. I don't care if it's man or if it's zone. You've got to get with somebody, which hurt him a couple times down the stretch. But ultimately, this was a game where the defense did enough. Yep. Ole Miss's offense, we know what they are. We know what their weapons are. We knew that this wasn't going to be another 3-point performance. But this was a heck of a showing by Miami's defense, despite the fact that the offense had to be the heroes and save the day at the end of this one. It still wasn't a performance that I would look at and say, oh, wow, this was unproductive, a lot like a lot of box score watchers are saying about Ruben Bain. But if you watched the football game, Ruben Bain was doing Ruben Bain things as always, making it very uncomfortable for Chambliss and company back there. And if you look at Lacey and his ability to run the football, when they were going at Ruben Bain, it was very much so limited. So ultimately, this defense statistically had a much worse game than if you watch the game and say, you know what, they did pop a couple plays here and there, but for the most part, Miami's defense was on everything.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, they held Ole Miss to 10 points below their season average. Average 37 points per game. Miami held them to 27. And actually holding them under 30 points, that broke an 8-game streak. I mean, Ole Miss for 8 straight games had scored over 30 points, and that included 2 matchups against Georgia. Even the one that they lost in the regular season, they scored over 30. The one that they won last week, they scored 39 points. And yeah, that defensive performance, Kenton, would have looked a lot better if they could have held on to one of the 4 interceptions that were like automatic. I mean, I've never seen, and it's crazy because Trinidad Chambliss, he'd thrown 3 interceptions all year, and Miami dropped 4 in one game. How different of a defensive performance that could have been if they'd held on to 1 or 2 of those.
Absolutely. I was thinking to myself, did those boys play in Crisco before they started this game, or do we need to check somebody's FanDuel? There was something going on there that was pretty interesting. But no, seriously, Miami did, despite not capitalizing on some of those really big moments where you could have turned the game, because I believe at least 2 of them, I saw that's a pick 6. That's a pick, as soon as it went up. And it just never materialized in that way. Miami did not play its best game of football defensively. I think this is one of their better showings offensively. But defensively, they did not play their best game of football at all. And yet and still, you hold this team to their lowest point total in over 8 games. And yet and still, you hold this team to the first time, and this is a fact now. This is, say what you want, believe me or don't believe me. If Miami had allowed what they were averaging, they came into this game. You talk about 30 points, Donno. Guess how many points Ole Miss was averaging in the playoffs per game?
Ooh, I don't know.
40 exactly. 41 against Ole Miss, 39 against Georgia. So they're averaging 40 points exactly, and Miami holds them to 27. Wow. Again, that's an explosive offense. Those are some dudes over there, and you did not play your best game, and you still walk out with a win. You can complain about winning ugly during the regular season, or if you played the Citadel, or if you played, the Island of Misfit Toys, directional school for the differently abled. You can complain about winning ugly then. But when you're talking about playoff football, you're talking about the Final Four in terms of football. If you walk away with 1 more point than your opponent, guess what? You did a hell of a job, and you're going to a natty, which Miami is. Michael Irvin, bring the belt out.
Oh, he's going to bring it out. And sometimes your best defense is offense. We'll explain what Miami did that was mission accomplished when it comes to keeping Trinidad Chambliss off the field. And we'll also talk about what has to happen, because Miami's going to be an underdog no matter who it is. Against Oregon would be probably about a field goal underdog. Against Indiana, I was looking at 5.5 points. You want to keep it locked right here. We're only getting started on this brand new episode of Locked On ACC. Let's talk about something that most men don't bring up, but absolutely should. Stress from work, money, life. It doesn't just switch off at night. And when it shows up at the worst possible time, Rugiet Ready is designed to help you take back control. Rugiet Ready is a next-generation prescription treatment created to support both the brain and the body so you can feel present, confident, and ready when the moment matters. Rugiet Ready combines 3 clinically proven ingredients in 1 mint that dissolves under your tongue so it absorbs fast. You connect with a board-certified doctor online, and everything ships discreetly to your door. It's easy to understand why over 150,000 men have already made the switch. If you've been thinking about taking the next step, now's the time. Head to rugiet.com/lockedoncollege. That's RUGIET.com/lockedoncollege to get 15% off your order for a limited time. Rugiet Ready. Feel present, feel confident, and feel ready. Thank you for making Locked On ACC your first listen. And if you're an everydayer, you want to join the Everydayer Club. You get exclusive Discord access. You get exclusive ad-free versions of the shows. Go to lockedonacc.supercast.com or click the link in the show notes below. Kenton, we talked about this all last week and all throughout the build-up to this game, knowing how dangerous Trinidad Chambliss and that Ole Miss offense are. Part of defending Chambliss is what your offense does to keep him off the field. Time of possession, limiting the amount of plays Ole Miss runs. Now, Miami only ended up winning this game by one score because of all the missed opportunities, but the Hurricanes had 41 minutes and 22 seconds time of possession, and they limited Ole Miss to 60 plays. They average over 74 per game. Miami ran 88 plays to Ole Miss's 60. So from that standpoint, mission accomplished with that objective of giving that Rebels offense as few opportunities as possible.
Absolutely. And it wasn't just when you think about what you get out of that time of possession difference, it's not just about, oh, we held the ball longer and thusly we are better. It's also about destabilizing a team's rhythm. It's about making a team struggle to get in rhythm. If you talk about what actually happened in this game, right? You said Miami won by how many scores, Donno?
4 points.
Now let me ask you this: how many drives did Ole Miss have in the first quarter?
I think just one, right?
Two, and both of those two were 3 and outs.
Yeah, that's right.
It was a reason that I said coming into this game, Miami's offensive line was the key and not defensive line. Because if you could lean on them and control time of possession, you would force Ole Miss to rely upon the big play. You would force Ole Miss to simply force balls into places they should have been, which Trinidad Chambliss did 4 times. 4 times he had to force balls in the windows where there was no window. And so ultimately, I sit here and I say that keeping the ball away played exactly as I said it would. It would force Trinidad Chambliss to be patient and to say, okay, I'm relaxed. I'm going to take what they give me. Let's 3 yard in the cloud of dust it. And yet, despite them scoring one of their highest point totals of the year, you're only looking at, out of all of their scoring drives, I want you to take a guess, Donno. How many of those scoring drives were over, let's say, 7 plays? How many do you think?
Oh, maybe all of them except maybe for one. I mean, they had some 13 play. 50. You talking about Miami?
For Ole Miss? How many of Ole Miss? How many of their scoring drives were over 8 plays or 7 plays rather?
I don't know. One of them.
2, or I'm sorry, 3. 3 of their scoring drives took that long. But do you see what I'm saying in terms of when you take the ball away, you force them to rely upon the big play. We know about the 73-yarder from Keelan Lacey. We got to acknowledge that. Great. Yeah. And then other than that, the drive where they got the field goal to tie it up at 10, that drive relied on a couple of big plays and not just marching it down the field slowly but surely. The last field goal before halftime was a much shorter drive than people realize because of a very much so hurry up, quick game, Miami playing big soft zone type of deal. So ultimately, when you told this Ole Miss team, can you be patient enough to beat us time in and time out? Can you be patient enough to take 4 and then 5 and then 4 again and then 6 and then 4 again and then 3 and then 8 again? Can you be patient enough to do it? The answer was a resounding no, which is why Miami ended up on top. And this is not to say that Ole Miss played a terrible game, because I actually think that they got away with making mistakes, yes. But I think other than that, they played a pretty good game. Ultimately, this came down to Miami's offensive line just leaning and say, hey, Prince Umanley, you're great when you're rushing the passer. Let's see how well you stop the run. Hey, Eccles, you look really good when you can rush the passer. Let's see how well you can split this double team right here. We're going to do a combination block and see if you can get out of it. And ultimately, Miami's offensive line just leaned and kept possession, which kept Chambliss and company on the sidelines.
Yeah, I mean, Miami's offensive line was brilliant outside of a couple of false start penalties, which Miami was penalized 10 times in the game for 73 yards. They were called for a couple of holdings as well, but man, the offensive line was on point. All right, so now, you look, Kenton, and, Miami's going to be, ironically enough, the road team in their home stadium for the national championship game, because the higher seed automatically gets the home designation, and, both Indiana and Oregon at the 1st seed and the 5th seed are higher ranked than Miami at the 10 seed. If you're Mario Cristobal, which of those teams would you rather face, and why is it Oregon? I might as well say that.
I mean, I was just about to say, here's the thing that I would say. Oregon has shown cracks and weaknesses at a decent clip. They've shown things that, like, okay, there's a strategy to beat them, and you have the personnel to do it as well. The strategy to beating that team is very simply pressure Dante Moore. That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. That's all you got to do. If you bring the house and say, hey, we're bringing pressure on Mendoza, Surratt and company are going to have themselves a ball game.
That's right.
They're going to have themselves a day. That is a team. Everybody keeps talking about how old they are, but it's not really just the age. It's more so the experience that comes with it. Those guys have seen it all, done it all in terms of college football. And so, yes, they may not be the same rankings and all that of any other team. They're by far the worst team by, 24/7 rankings and rivals rankings and on-3 rankings and all that. But there are a bunch of guys that have a ton of experience. They've been around the block a ton of times. They play more guys 22 or older than they do 21 or younger. Yeah. That's a fact. That's a fact. It's not even – and we're talking about college football right now. So the reality of this thing is that's an experienced team. That's a deep team. That's a team that has seen a little bit of everything, as opposed to Oregon, a team that we have seen. Objectively speaking, when you rush Dante Moore, those decisions get bad. He starts seeing ghosts. He starts to speed up his process. Meanwhile, Fernando Mendoza, I mean, the young man's been in college since forever and a day now. ACC legend Fernando
How many
Mendoza.
degrees do you think he has by now? And you know he's smart because he was at Cal. Like, he's probably like a triple PhD at this point.
I was just about to say he's got himself a good amount of degrees, but even more important than the age is just the experience. It's just guys who have been there, they've done it, they've seen it, and so they're golden there. So ultimately, I definitely want to see Oregon. And here's another interesting factoid about that: the difference between Oregon and Indiana. Indiana has shown us they can win each type of ball game this year. Every single type of ball game. There's not a single type. They've shown us they can win a shootout. They've shown us they can dominate you outright. They've shown us they can win a rock fight. And Oregon has not done that in as many ways as Indiana has. So if I'm Mario Cristobal and company, make this your Super Bowl. Give it everything you got. Celebrate like you just won the Super Bowl, because you got poor lowly Miami coming from the lowly, filthy ACC. You know, that's a basketball conference. They don't even play no football over there.
Yeah, and no matter who it is, Oregon or Indiana, tremendous storylines, right? And Indiana, Fernando Mendoza, the Heisman winner, he went to the same high school as Mario Cristobal in Miami Columbus grad, right? And then you've got Oregon, where Cristobal was before he came back home to Miami. So, I mean, it's going to be easy to sell this one no matter which way it goes. And, well, whatever you're selling, Miami's got some extra cash to buy it thanks to the new ACC revenue structure. We will talk about that and so much more, and why Miami owes a thank you card and a gift basket to Florida State and Clemson. You want to keep it locked right here. We're not done yet on this brand new episode of Locked On ACC. Oh, we're certainly not done with FanDuel. Yeah, the college football playoff is here. You got a game tonight. You got the championship game coming up on the 19th. And FanDuel is giving all customers even more ways to get in on the action every single game day of the playoffs. Because right now, every college football playoff game day, FanDuel users get a profit boost waiting for them in the app. Here's what I love about it. You get to use the profit boost on the bets you already feel good about. Ride with the favorite when you think that team controls the matchup, or take a shot on the underdog if you feel an upset is coming, or build a parlay around the players and moments you think decide the game. Then you apply the profit boost and go after even bigger winnings. And when you win, FanDuel pays out instantly, which is perfect for playoff football. FanDuel is the best place to get into the action all playoff long. So visit FanDuel.com to get your college football playoff profit boost every game day. Make sure for your next listen, you check out Kenton Gibbs and Grayson Boone on Locked On Wolfpack, covering all things NC State. Check me out on Locked On Canes as we march towards the national title game, which I'm looking forward to cover. All right, so Kenton, you know, I know there's some salty Florida State fans out there after their legal team spent about $3 million in legal fees to challenge the ACC's grant of rights, which ultimately led to a settlement with the conference. Clemson also spent legal fees on this as well. I don't think quite as much as Florida State did, but I think that number was in seven figures. And part of that ACC settlement is the new brand initiative, success initiative, but part of that is when there's an ACC team in the college football playoff, they get to keep 100% of the revenue earned from the playoff. They don't have to share it with the rest of the conference the way that the SEC and the Big Ten do. I'm not sure how the Big 12 does it, but I know SEC and Big Ten, you have to share that revenue with the other teams. So far, Miami has made a cool $20 million and counting based on this playoff run so far. I think Mario Cristobal owes Mike Norvell a nice thank you letter.
Oh, he absolutely does. But there's another way that Miami is keeping money that nobody seems to be mentioning.
How's
the
that?
college football playoff or the NCAA, I'm not sure who does it, but they pay out a $3 million stipend for travel per game.
I think that's the playoff. Yeah.
Now, quick question, Donno. Miami is going to the national championship, correct?
Yeah.
They're getting $3 million to travel, correct?
Yeah.
How much does it take to get a team from Coral Gables to Miami? How much would you imagine price-wise that would cost?
I mean, as people will point out, they don't have an on-campus stadium. It's about, 15 miles from campus. There's a bus ride. The fuel costs are somewhat high right now. But,
Here we go with the deflection. Them boys are pocketing. Not only are they pocketing all of the other money, but they're for sure pocketing $3 million. We do this every week. This is our weekend, week out. This is our home game.
Hey, those charter buses are not cheap that they drive into the stadium.
Here we go with the shenanigans. I'm going to tell you, though, they should write a thank you letter to Florida State and Clemson. I mean, the reality is they're keeping 100% of this revenue that they've generated. What a time to be alive if you're a Hurricanes fan. Not only are you seeing your team go to the national championship, but you saw your biggest rival, your most heated rival, the school you hate more than anybody else, spend millions out of their pocket to give you this while they won 5 games and can't fire their head coach because they don't have the money.
Hey.
I'll tell you, right now, I'm in San Francisco for work. I love my company. I love my life. I live quite an amazing life. I've been blessed and highly favored, and I still can't compete with what Miami fans are feeling right now.
Hey, man.
I can't compete.
It's a great time to be alive.
I'm out here eating steaks the size of my back on the company's dime, and I still can't compete with how Miami fans are feeling right now.
It's like right after the game, I was arguing with a couple of ingrates on social media. So like when I sent out my Twitter or X post, the little short video that I did celebrating a victory. It's on to the championship. And then the first comment I get is from an alleged Miami fan. It's someone I've interacted with this person before, so I know he is a Miami fan. And his first comment was, if we play like this again, we can't win the next game. Like that was his comment. I'm like, let yourself enjoy it for 5 minutes. Like you're a Miami. Like let yourself enjoy this victory. Because I literally posted that video right after the game, and first comment, boom, we play like this again, we're not winning. Like, I'm
gonna tell you something. This is why I said earlier in the show, if this is in the middle of the season and you're talking about beating UMass by 1 possession, sure. You should be beating the Minutemen by more than 1 possession, with all due respect to UMass. If you're talking about, beating some team from the middle of Wyoming by 3 points, by 4 points, sure, absolutely. Carson Beck shouldn't have to walk out. You're talking about a playoff semifinal, brother.
Yeah, it's a really good team.
Let tomorrow's problems be waiting on you tomorrow. The tomorrow has problems of its own, brother. Today has problems of its own. And you just got over the biggest problem in winning a football game against the top team. You did it. You did the thing. So ultimately, some people, they can't help themselves. But I'm going to tell you, Miami fans, you're in the sunshine right now. You're in the limelight. Enjoy it. Dance in the streets. Rejoice. You have a home game for the national championship. I don't care if they put you in the white uniforms. I don't care if they put you in the away locker room. You have a home game. Okay? Who could have thought? Who could have thunk this, especially after that second loss? Who would have thought this team is going to be in the national championship in Miami, in their home stadium that they play in week and week out for home games? This is where Miami's going to end the season up. Many people would have said, hell, if you give us the ReliaQuest Bowl, I guess we'll smile.
Yeah.
I guess.
I thought we'd be eating Pop-Tarts again after that SMU loss. I'm like, we're going back to the Pop-Tarts Bowl. They were 6-2.
And I'm gonna tell you that the ACC still owe the Pop-Tart Bowl something, because I don't think we won one since they changed the name to the Pop-Tart Bowl. I mean, for crying out loud, every time it's a disappointment, and the other team coach get to munch on some Pop-Tarts. I wanted to try one of those Pop-Tarts as a winner one time, but that's neither here nor there. Right now, we're talking about all the goodness of Miami. And again, Miami fans, let yourselves enjoy this. Let yourselves enjoy the game tonight, because your team ain't playing. You don't got to stress. Regardless of who comes out a winner in this one, you've got a great team ahead of you next week. But enjoy it. There's the 24-hour rule, Donno. 24 hours. Right. Even as players and coaches, we believe in a 24-hour rule. When you win a game, you celebrate for 24 hours. Party down. Have a good time. They didn't even give you 24 minutes. Damn. What's going on?
See, I hope you guys listen to Kenton. I mean, that is perspective. Those are words to live by, and that's why KG does such a great job. You can check him out on Locked On Wolfpack with Grayson Boone. Follow him on X at TGIF_Kenton. You can follow me at Alex Donno and check out Locked On Canes. And great times, folks. We'll do it again next week. We'll talk to you again another time on another episode of Locked On ACC. We are part of the awesome Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.